Okay. Yeah, I'm just waiting for people to come on before I start trying to talk, I guess. So in case you're watching this in the future, this is Noah Road, and I am just kind of walking around through my old stealth camping stomping grounds. And I'm south of DuBois, not far, about 3 miles. And I'm just going live and waiting to see if anyone shows up to say hi. If you want to take a little walk with me. It's not a great time of the day to go live, I don't think. 12:18 on Thursday. I think it's the 17th, of April. I have been in this town at my place of residence. It's a small apartment for a little over a year. I think 15 months today, actually. So it was a rough winter, and I'm glad it's over. I was homeless for pretty much 3 years straight, with the exception of a couple of months twice over. Throughout that 3 years, I was homeless almost the whole time. Homeless in the winter, and I'm in my mid-50s right now, so I notice I'm not quite as youthful or strong as I used to be. So last January of 24, I was very much blessed, I believe by divine intervention, with a landlord that let me move in without any money even, and worked with me in order to kind of get me into this apartment. And I was just walking around, and I just happened to bump into this guy who turned out to be a landlord who had an empty apartment in one of his houses, and he just put me up in there because he felt bad for me, because the winter was really rough that week. And I was really tired and exhausted, and I really needed some time off of the streets, and I didn't realize how bad I needed that time off of the streets. So I'm still here, actually. Still here in DuBois. I just put in my notice. I told him I'm going to leave in June. So it's about 44 days from now. I'm going to be gone. And I'm looking forward to it. So I'm starting to walk around and get familiar with my old stealth camping stomping grounds again. And we're just about there. I'm almost there. 7 people watching. Hello, y'all. Hi, how are you? What's you doing? Oh, I'm just getting ready to go out stealth camping. Like I am kind of a stealth camper most of the time, but the last year I've been in an apartment, and now I'm getting ready to leave the apartment, and I'm going to go be homeless, live out of a backpack. And that's my normal lifestyle. I spent the last year living in an apartment, which I really needed the recovery. But I just cannot take it anymore, and it's time for me to go. And, oh wow, cool, thanks for the sub. So, I have to go live because for some reason this phone it's a really old phone, and it keeps telling me my iCloud is all full and it won't let me record more than a few minutes. So I'm going live all the time now, And I noticed that the live, it's got some kind of an interference problem with the microphone. So there's really nothing I can do about it. I just don't know what to do. If you check out 5 months, I'm more secure with my life. Uh, Sorry for me. What are you sorry for me for? I'm free. I enjoy my life. I'm healthy. See, what do you say to that, huh? Pretty cool. I'm really surprised that people left. Yep, Noah Rhodes just getting his stealth camping agility. The legs that I kind of lost by living in this apartment that I'm in for so long. Just had to practice. Just seeing some old areas. My old stealth camping, stomping grounds. Cool, huh? I camp out on the second floor up there because most of the people don't walk up there because it's hard to get up to. It's like a little dangerous. Now, up in this area, there's a bridge and I haven't gone beyond it, so I just want to scope an area out. This is my stomping grounds. This is like the area where I camp in when I'm down in this area. It's one of the areas. I also camp on the north side of town by the mall. There was somebody a couple years ago camping out by the mall and he trashed his camp. That was not me. I do not trash as I, walk into town from camp. I always, daily or every couple days, I'm always taking little bags of garbage, back to town. So I never trash my camps. Got a good name, for the people that do know me, because they know I don't trash anything. I'm not like these people that group up in these, what do they call those things? I don't know, those city camp places, homeless like that. I've left home and I was like on the cusp of my 18th birthday, and I've, stealth camped like this for a whole lot of years, and frankly, a real long life expectancy, you know, as if I, did everything like everyone else does. But I'm still glad I did it, as I left home and lived the way I did. I honestly, somebody just left a message that, damn, look at what a piece of mind that I got that I don't see. Very rare do I see it. I'm not an NPC. I'm not a fake person. I'm a real living soul. I'm a spiritually adept to some degree. Not perfect, you know. So I would like to compare that to all these people that supposedly got it together. Let's compare. Like, sure, they got an insurance plan, but how often do they gotta go to the doctor? Well, it was versus the last time I was ever at a doctor, about 30 years ago. Say something like they feel sorry for me. How often do they need to turn to alcohol or some kind of psychiatric therapy or a pill or some kind of medication to get by in life, or to be able to stand the moments alone in their own head? Are they even capable of having a real conversation with a living soul like me for more than 2 minutes? I mean, I'm not sitting there tooting my own horn, but come on here. You know, I get 4 views, and somebody who's going live, who's washing dishes, is getting 1,000. It's like, wow. One person. Thank you for watching. I love this area. Just feel the peace here. This is so much better than living in my apartment. I need apartments at times so I could recover, but I need them for a few months. In this case, in this last stretch of time, I needed it for over a year because I was having like a problem with my shoulder, like an injury that was coming in, and it just took a long time to heal it. And I needed to learn and grow and become stronger at, I guess, my spiritual path. I had to raise my consciousness to higher plateaus of enlightenment, and it required a time where I had that stability, where I had electricity and I could just charge my phone and keep it going, and keep watching more videos and learning and studying. I needed this time, and I needed the time to work out and recover. And the last few months, I needed the time to basically just stop working out and really let my body fully recover. Oh, what is stealth camping? Somebody asked. I don't know if you're still there. It's just camping under the radar. You're kind of like camping in urban environments, and you're not on a campground. You're not doing it legally. You're just coming, shimmying into a place like this, and setting up a tarp and sleeping under it, and trying to live off grid under the radar for, I don't know, weeks, months, years at a stretch even. And you just kind of move around like a nomad, kind of like an old nomadic tribe. That's kind of how I live. And I live off of the scraps of society. I mean, I don't make my own leather shoes. If I went out to the desert, I'd probably croak pretty quick. But, so it's not like I'm making my own shoes and my own clothes, and I know how to tan leather or something like that. I can't do all that fancy stuff. I can't build a cabin. I certainly ain't the type of person to go out and build up enough economic resources to go and buy a big plot of land. Obviously, that's not me. So what other choice do I have? I speed up the process by just saying the hell with all that stuff, and I'm just going to live on the outskirts of society and live on the scraps. And I guess I'll find myself on that lonely road somewhere. Sometimes I live hand to mouth. Actually, a lot of times I live hand to mouth. We're coming up on a bridge right up this way. I slept out under that bridge for a while. I wonder how that's still doing. If they got my little, I kind of like flattened a spot up there for me to lay in if I ever come back. I know this is a boring video, but it's kind of my own video diary. Oh, I'm in Jonathan Bray. What's up, Charles? Hey, Chris Bandit. Gosh, you sure. Nice to see you. Now we're in my, just to catch you up to what I'm doing, is I am going through my stealth camping stomping grounds. This is the area where I frequently stealth camp in when I'm in the DuBois area. And I'm south of town about 3 miles, and I'm just going through the area because I put in my 45-day notice. I'm leaving June 1st, and I'm going to be heading back out here stealth camping. Now, I don't know if I'm actually going to be here in this spot, but I'm getting my body used to moving again, and you know, hiking around, and I just want to kind of scope out the areas that I have frequented. Now I'm going to check this bridge right up here. This is a frequent spot of mine, but what I'm going to do is, if you notice, there's a little trail there, about a quarter of a mile, maybe a half a mile, there's a bridge, and I think it's like the rails have been tore up. Like, it used to be a train track like this, but it's tore up, and I want to go down there and just check it out and see what it's like for stealth camping. But I first want to see my old spot, my old bridge. Yep, this is Noah Road Stomping Grounds. I was camping out here in the winter time of 2022. Made it the whole winter out here. And when I found this apartment in 2024, I was actually camping out in the woods up here and underneath this bridge. I kind of went back between the two. I had my tent set up here in these woods. And it's a great little spot. And at nighttime, there's a Sheetz gas station, and it's open 24 hours. It's about 1 mile that way. And I go there and charge my phone. Oh yeah, wow. Are you an early bird, or is this are you just about ready to go to bed, Chris? Or let me see. I'll take you up to one of my stealth camping camps. This is one of my regular camps. All right, you're gonna get one of Noah Road's secrets. There we go. This is one of my secrets. You're getting the real inside scoop. A little window, a peek into the window of Noah Road stealth camping. All right, here we go. I cleared this out, by the way. It was all full of branches and I couldn't get through. And right through here, what do you think, Chris? Real stealth camping. And you'll see I'll have my blind. Nobody, this is so great around here. Like, you see this? I put this stick up over a year ago, and it's still here. Like 2 years ago I put that up to prop this because it was all crunched down. And when it is up this way, when the leaves come on it, it helps create more cover for me, more camouflage, you see? And plus I can just walk, come and go real easy. And then I go right to here, and here is one of my stealth camps, right here. And as you can see, I leave it clean. And notice this, see? I put these blinds up to where I can set my tent up right here. And if anybody walked in the woods, of course, it needs to be refreshed. It's like 2 years old. As you can see, I do leave a couple of water jugs so I can have them on hand if I ever come back. The animals kind of scattered them a little bit. They were probably a little more together. And then I got this over here. This is a little factory, and it's very small factory. They don't even work. I don't know if they even work 5 days a week. Like right now, I don't know if anybody's even there. And they got this cool little. Oh yeah, they're in there. Let me see. There's a truck. Can you see the truck? See how close I am to society? All right, let me see. Okay. All right, see? Wow, I wonder who put that jacket up there. This is kind of, well, this is how close I get to society. Out there is natural gas. There's a lot of natural gas in, oh, wow. Nice on that. All right, just a second. I got to put something back in this. Open it up here. Rain poncho that I carry with me. Carry water. Well, yep. Yeah, this is, I'm not sure what kind of a factory that is, but, oh shit, there's somebody coming. I hope they don't see me. I gotta get out of here because I see somebody's coming back to that truck. I don't think he saw me. No, he didn't. Good. No road slick like a ninja. All right. All right. Yeah, he didn't see me. Well, that was close. I don't want to. One of these days, I get worried that I'm going to come here and the woods are going to get all, they're going to be all cut away, you know. Here is the trail that I made. As you can see, it's trailed out here. This place gets pretty swampy, which is actually one of the real reasons that I stay here. It's a very small, see how I put that there? I put that so I could step on it. And I prepare all of this for years, really. All right. Well, you're getting the inside scoop. There was once in 2022, I had my tent set up right over here, I think it was. But then I moved it back to that other spot that I just showed you because it's deeper and a better spot in case somebody came in here. You'll see here, it's getting close to the road. So, well, this thing is sagged down a bit. These trees, sometimes they sag. All right, there we go. All right, and I go over here. Now we're getting out toward the road. It's a nice little spot. Now here I wouldn't stealth camp for any length of time. Like I'd stealth camp overnight and then, you know, it would be kind of short term because it's so close to the road. Like I like to stealth camp a little further back. But this is a nice spot, isn't it? And down that way, there's the Sheets, and it's about a mile walk, and it's a 24-hour gas station, and they got little benches, and they're just really cool there. Whenever I needed to charge my phones, I'd sometimes go at, I don't know, 7 o'clock at night or something like that, or even 5:36, right when it was getting dark in the wintertime usually, I'd walk in there and sit for 3 hours and, you know, maybe get one small thing, and then maybe an hour later get one more small thing, and just sit until my phones got charged. And then I'd come back to camp. And I kept juggling, you know, the phone situation like that. This here is Highway 322, 219, it runs together. And this will take you through a little place called Luthersburg, and then ultimately goes through like Grampian, Kerwinsville, and then out to Clearfield, which is one of my favorite towns. And here's one of another stealth camp. Matter of fact, nobody has messed with this. It's been all, you know, a year and a half, 18 months. No, it's been 15 months since I've been here. And I wonder if I'm cutting out because I'm under the bridge. All right. Well, there's my old spot, still there. I don't know. Well, I took you through a little tour. Are you still with me, Chris? Or anyone? Or Charles? You still with me up? You still with me? Ah, Flat Earth. Oh, Jim. Hey, what's up, buddy? God bless you, friend. All right, Chris Bandit. Yeah, to catch you up, Jim. Hey, what's up? I don't know. You missed I showed off my old stealth camp. I'm walking through my old stealth camp areas. I just put in my, I guess, a 45-day notice to my landlord, so I'm going to be leaving in June. So I'm just getting my stealth camping legs back. So I was, you know, going up in old abandoned switch house, and then up in here I walked through these woods to show, you know, a couple of viewers some real stealth camping areas. You know, one of my frequent stealth camping areas. This is about 3 miles south of that little town of DuBois, and it's just straight down the railroad tracks, as you can see. Now these railroad tracks, I can take them all the way down to Pittsburgh. Down the road, down the tracks about 4 miles is a town called Sykesville. It's a very little town. And then about another 10 or 12 miles, something like that, further down you got Punxsutawney, where Punxsutawney Phil is. But this is kind of in the middle of nowhere. This is definitely my stealth camping, stomping grounds. And if you wanted to check out a little after I shut off the camera, I don't know, sometimes it takes a while for me to get these lives to upload. It takes a while for me to get a hold of them again. They seem to be just like in uploading mode for sometimes 12 hours or something. But if you go back and watch it again, like if you can see where I walk through. At one point this will be uploaded. It might take a few hours or even till tomorrow. Okay, so if you notice, here is like a little trailer park. Yeah, it's kind of fun out here. It's like a place for me to play. I can't believe that nothing has changed. All of my stealth camping places, the little water jugs that I left, the little flat spot I made underneath that bridge that I just was under, still exactly the way I left it. I mean, I'm just really amazed. This is a great little area. Nobody is out here doing this except for me. There's a few homeless people around, but not very many. And they're generally very unprepared. So they just kind of hang around town and shiver all night. You know, they're those types. And they pass through pretty quick. A lot of them end up in the psych units because they can't handle it. And sometimes some of them probably end up in jail. Some of them are probably coming out of jail, you know. And you see them out there, those type of homeless. Every now and then you see a few. Every now and then they go through, but no one is out here like I'm doing it, you know? Like a ninja or an urban Rambo. The water still there. Yeah, let me see. Yes, we are the ones who are not on drugs. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Jim, there's a guy called Nick Ashron, and there's a cool song called We Are the Ones. Nick Ashron, We Are the Ones. It's really a pretty small venue, so I don't know if it'll pop up, but I recommend checking that guy out. I think you'd like him. At least that song, I think you'd like it. We are the ones that we're waiting for. Nick Ashron, yep, that's right. We are the ones. Yep. I think you'll like that I recommend that. I don't know if it'll show up because it's so small, you know. He's an Englishman and he lives in that place by Stonehenge and all that stuff, and he's way into these like the metaphysics and things. I mean, I don't know if you would agree with everything, but there's a lot of intersections, you know, that you'd really dig on with him. It's pretty hard to find. It's hard to find people that you totally agree with on everything, but there's a lot of places where you can find somebody where you intersect, you know, in a lot of places along the line, and you're both going parallel at least, you know. Yeah, that's how I see you and me, you know, Jim. We're so, even if there are probably areas of differences, we're so. Yeah, this is my area. It'd be nice if you could imagine living out here. The only thing you would hate, Jim, is the hunting is big out here. So I know you wouldn't like that. But I don't know. Everywhere you go, you're gonna find something that you're gonna hate, right? Because like all around here, this is all hunting grounds here. And if I go further down the railroad tracks towards where I showed you, Sykesville and Punxsutawney, all that area for about 2 miles is a hunting club. Look at this. So I know you wouldn't like that part of this about, you know, this area, but other than that, I think you'd like it around here. Except for the winters too. You probably wouldn't like the winter. The winters suck, but I'll tell you, this is a great strategic location. That's why I'm still here. So, I mean, if I could find a place that I felt more invited to live like this, I would do it. It's a great strategic location. If I was in West Virginia right now, or Kentucky or Missouri, I wouldn't feel as comfortable walking around in these type of areas. You know, because I've been in the Ozarks. I've been out in the hollers of West Virginia and in Kentucky and stuff, and I don't feel comfortable. It's kind of a scary feeling when you go down there. Tennessee too, and in North Carolina, it's tramped out down there. Now in Pennsylvania, there's areas that I don't want to go. Like south of here, you got Johnstown, and that town everybody would tell you, it's got a pretty bad energy to it. You know, it's known for high crime. And that's Cambria County, and Cambria County's pretty rough. I think there's a lot of corruption down there too. Yeah, there's always going to be. There's even hunting in California though, right? It's just probably a lot more liberals in California though. But there's still definitely hunters. It's just liberals. But I forgot the town. I don't know if you want to mention it, but I forgot. Here we go. Look at this. Now I've you know searched throughout a lot of these woods in here. It's pretty laid back. I know when the hunting is going and when it's not. You know, like in May there's going to be turkey season for 1 month, And then June, July, August, September, and October, there's going to be hardly anybody out in the woods. But in October, they're going to start coming in and setting up their deer stands, and they set up trail cams sometimes. Look at this, huh? And they, I think towards the end of October, they have bear hunting, but it's not very big. It doesn't get big until December. That's where the deer hunting, they are so big on deer hunting here that they have days off of work for it. If you got a good job, they'll give you a day off of work or 2 days of work for deer hunting, because it's like Christmas around here. And they have, in the smaller towns, like up at St. Mary's, it's so big that they have barrels to where when you tear the hide off of the deer, they put them in the barrels and then they give them to the DNR and stuff like that. So you'll see barrels and it'll say deer hides in barrel. And you see them all over on, like on corners and stuff like that, or at gas stations. And it's like, good grief. So it's like almost like Vietnam, you know, when you go out to the woods. I stay out of the woods, you know, during those months, during December and January, which, if you remember, I had that video about hunters and close calls. Woo, I had to get the heck out of there. I got that video of about a year and a half, 2 years ago almost, in St. Mary's. Yep. Well, what do you think about this, Jim? Sorry to talk about that disgusting stuff, but that's just, you know, bringing you, you know, kind of, I guess, giving you the tour of what it's like around here, and, you know, just an honest to goodness thing about it. So that's the one thing that I don't like about it either, and I know you wouldn't like it. But other than that, it's, and other than the winter, it's actually a great, wonderful place. Look at this. And nobody's out here stealth camping. Look at this bridge. Check that out up there. Could totally camp out up there. Yeah. I'm not sure where the source of this water is. I mean, it'd be pretty dirty to just grab it. And it's only because we've got a lot of water this year. If it dried out for a while, I'm sure it wouldn't be so wet. Well, here we go. So we're only like 3 miles outside of town. This road here goes straight back to town. It goes almost to my apartment. It's called South Highland Road, or South Highland Avenue, I think road. Look at that, there's a good view. Is everything showing up pretty good for you there, Jim? Let me see. Yep, that's right. You got to be at peace within yourself, even in the middle of chaos, you know. And it's easy to kind of be at ease on some spiritual summit somewhere in some sort of a, you know, a retreat. But eventually you got to come back and you got to, I guess, include more. Yeah, that's how it gets in December, but it's only like that in December, January usually. The deer hunting is the big one. And it's just, everybody's bananas, and I think they're crazy, frankly. But, you know, like I say, you're going to have there's always going to be some hang up, something that hangs up, a snag about a good place. In California, think about all the prices. And, you know, California is bad in a lot of ways. Like, I wouldn't want to live on the streets in California. I can only imagine what it'd be like. You couldn't find a beautiful little place like this to where people just leave you alone. As you can see, this used to be a railroad track. It's a grid. And they just ripped up the tracks, and I don't know how far this goes. I've only walked maybe about this far. It's lovely down here, isn't it? There's no crime, there's no crazies, there's no druggies, there's no tent cities. And it's 3 miles from town, so it's not too far out. I could go, you know, stock back up on some food or supplies. I'm 5, 6, maybe 6, 7 miles from my storage unit. Yeah, it's rough. You ever think about leaving California, Jim? Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, I really love the vegan lifestyle. I'm more vegetarian than vegan. It's hard for me not to dip into some dairy once in a while, but I'm trying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, as long as I got some supplements, you know what I'm saying. When you are homeless, you know, there's times where you got to just eat what you can get. Sometimes, if you don't have any money, you know, you got to eat a lot of junk or whatever canned foods, and that's often going to have meat in it, you know. Oh, look at that. Now that there's, I don't know if you've noticed that, that water is probably fresh. Like you could probably get by, you could probably get away with drinking that. That's right there at the source. See it? But that isn't going to last long once it dries out for more than a week, you know. There's no real good springs around here. That I know of yet. This area is not very good for springs. Now Johnsonburg, that's a town up in Elk County. It's one county up. That's got some wonderful springs. You never have to worry about water up there. They never run out of water. Here you got to worry about water a bit. Yeah, I'll tell you, every now and then you need the apartments in order to recover, especially as we get older. I don't think I would be fit for the road if I didn't have the last 15 months in the apartment, which sucks to say. I wish I could, you know, be more free and have, I guess, you know, we live in bodies that are rather restricting, aren't they? They're high maintenance, especially as you get older. So every now and then you need to take time off of the road and unfortunately, you know, put your neck under the yoke of society and get an apartment, or else your body's going to start getting a bad knee or bad shoulder. I had a bad shoulder that was acting up and I needed to fix it, and it took over a year. I had a knee that was starting to give me trouble. That took about a year to fix, 8 or 10 months anyway. I needed to get to where I could run again. This is kind of so I needed that apartment for recovery, and I needed to get a little bit of working out in too. I worked out at the gym last year for 5 or 6 months straight. Look at that, huh? Hide some stuff in there, a jug of water, a couple cans of food or something. They got those things all around here. Wow, this is a great area. I should go up here. What do you think, Jim? You want me to see what's over that hill? Let me see. I've got a bad hip. I can't run anymore. Oh yeah, running is a privilege, you know. It's easy to lose. Definitely easy to lose the privilege of running, and you know. Wow, this is lovely in here. I'm really just impressed. I'm glad you're all with me. What a gorgeous day. Look at this beautiful day. Wow. There's that sun at only 4,000 miles away, right, Jim? Yes. Oh, hey, what's up, yeah? Buckets are definitely still buried. I checked them about 6 months ago. And even the one I had in Clearfield, which I buried back in 2021, is still there. Actually, I have more than that. I had like 6 buckets buried up there, including a 17-gallon feed bucket. All right, I'm just gonna, out of curiosity, I hope I can do this. Oh, no, I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna end up slipping all over the place. Because I've tried to hold the phone and stuff like that, and oh, I can do it over here. Well, then I have all that water. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry to hear it. You're doing good though, ain't you, Jim? Great recovery. Huh. Whew, all right, I think I can get up here without too much trouble because I'm like I say, I'm trying to hold this phone and I've got my glasses in this hand because they're reading glasses and makes it's kind of blurry. There we go. This should be okay. I'm just curious to see what's up here. All right, we made it. Let's see. Oh, cool. Look at this. Whoa, do you see this, Jim? Chris and yeah. All right. Look at that. It's like a cornfield. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. I smell somebody's got some kind of a fire pit. Oh, it looks like they're building a. Oh, it smells good. Somebody's got a fire going somewhere. Can you see what they're building here? The house hasn't got the whatever they call that, the aluminum siding or whatever, the vinyl siding they put on it. I know that over there is like a junkyard, and they collect steel and stuff. Well, that's what it's like around here. We're close to Amish country. I don't know, Jim. I just did an Amish video. Like we visited, my friend and I took a drive through a nice little Amish area. You might want to check that video out. And it's only a few days old, like 5-6 days ago, maybe 7 or 8 days ago. And it's real close to here. It's only about like maybe 4 or 5 miles away from here. Wow, this is kind of cool. Back down there is where we were walking. And this is kind of like an interesting natural formation. Look at this trail. I don't know if it's natural or... Listen to the birds for a second. Wow. Nice. Gosh, can you imagine healing out here in the woods? Feel that. There's no cranks, addicts, and crazies that are building up tent cities, you know, grouping up together like that. None of that stuff out here. It's really nice. And because nobody's out here doing it, and I'm the only one, it's real fresh. There's not really a lot of help out here for people that live like that either, so they wouldn't last out here. I mean, liberal ideas are really nice, but once you start becoming too liberal and helping everybody, gosh, this is just gorgeous. then, you know, everybody starts grouping up, and then you got the tent cities. And Oregon used to be a nice place, all open-minded and wonderful, and now it's so bad they can't let anyone camp there. You know, try to go to Eugene and be homeless, and try to go to a place like Ashland or Klamath Falls or Grants Pass. They give you $400 tickets for being homeless and camping there. It's horrible, and it's for good reason. It's because the town is totally traumatized with zombie, psychopathic, drug addict, you know, homeless people. So it's nice to have these wonderful ideas to help everybody, but the second you start doing it, humanity cannot accept the responsibility that comes with that kind of, I don't know, the luxury of having bleeding heart help. You know, I mean, if somebody helps me, I'm really very, very grateful. I'm very grateful to generous people. But unfortunately, most people who get help from the generous take advantage, and then they start grouping up, and then the town becomes traumatized from them. And then somebody like me comes through, and now I can't do this anymore, you know? Now, if you notice this, see that purple on the tree? That there is private property. So they don't have to have these signs anymore that say no trespassing, which cost money, and then they fall apart. They just put a blotch of purple paint, and that is now legal. See that? That's an old sign. It says no trespassing. Now they just put purple paint, and that's what that purple paint is. See, purple paint means that it's private property. I still go on it, you know, I'm just real careful. And I bet you this goes, I don't know, it could go for miles. I don't know how far it goes. I think it'd be interesting to walk it and see how far it goes. Might go for 10 miles. I'm gonna turn back though. I can't go forever. I'm not prepared for it right now. I'm gonna be doing some stealth camping probably next week. I'm just working up to it. That's why I'm out here healing, you see? Going out and getting my land legs back, my stealth camping legs, and my agility, and just getting used to it, you know? Getting my mind wrapped around being out here again. I'll tell you, it's been both exhilarating, yes, but very scary too, because I am getting older. The world is changing at least as fast as I am, if not faster. And I'm definitely a little concerned about my future. And I'm also realizing, you know, I don't know, life is just beginning to underscore my mortality. It's becoming a little scary watching my generation pass away. And I see it's not, I'm going to face that moment in time where I'm going to have to wonder, I'm going to have to cross over. My body's going to stop breathing. My heart's going to stop beating. And it's going to be that one moment. Is there anything, you know, to all of this? Or are the atheists right? Heaven forbid. I hope the atheists take it right. But yeah, my mortality is going on 56 now in October. I'm so grateful for my body and stuff like that. One thing I will say, you know, Jim, you hear me talking about the Bible and this and that. That's just the way I connect to what I feel is spirit source energy. But I don't push the Bible like, oh, you have to believe in this God. This is just my way of getting to it, because that's my history. That's what I know. And it's fun because it's like this patch quilt, and it's like, It's like a puzzle. It's like I kind of believe it, but I kind of understand a lot of it's metaphor and mythology, things like that to an extent. I think it's grounded in history with the real people, but all the real big events, I think they're just there as sort of like archetypes to where you can put them together like a puzzle, and it sort of like activates something in your mind, and it kind of jacks you into the spirit source reality. And we all have our own way of getting there. And that's like how I get to it. So I love playing around with the scripture, but I don't push it and say, hey, you have to believe this way. You know what I mean? That's just how I see it. And I definitely don't believe in Christianity. Like, you know, you have to believe in a man that died for your sins, as a vicarious atonement, born of a virgin and stuff. I don't buy that either at all. But yeah, I love the Bible and stuff, and I like to put it together like a patch quilt, and that's just how I connect. So I have a lot of fun with it, and it activates something in my mind that I think is real. So that's how, but it could be activated through other ways. It's just, this is my culture, you know, this is what I grew up with, and that's my spiritual frame of reference that I use. So that's my spiritual lane is, you know, what I mean to say by that. But yeah, you'll see me talk about Bible topics and stuff like that. When I'm doing that, I'm actually just piecing things together like a patch quilt. And as I do that, it's almost like a meditative exercise, and it's getting me to be stricter separated. It's like a strict separation from the world exercise, and it kind of activates something in my mind that I do believe is real, and connecting to some kind of spirit source of energy. But I don't think that my way is the only way to do it or anything. You know what I mean? Feel the same way. Oh, I can't use this thing. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to meet you, friend. You know, I've watched you on your videos longer than you realized I have. I just didn't, you know, engage because I didn't really know what to say at the, you know, but I watched you a few times. I've seen you in the video feed probably like 2 years earlier before I actually responded, you know. Not a lot, but I've seen a couple of them. And Lucy, what the heck's her name? Lucy Z or Lucy S or something. I seen her, I think I seen her have one of your videos of you doing the throat singing, and she had a link to you, and that's how I think I first found you. And I think, wow, that's pretty neat. Yeah. That's just how I connect. And I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Do something that's culturally unnatural? That's just my spiritual lane. When people start to say it has to be this way, no, I just think that there's some kind of a spiritual source of energy out there. And I think there is an acceptable margin of error for all of us. And if we're a little off or a little wrong, it's okay, as long as we are compatible with, I don't know, our ways being somewhat compatible with, I don't know, some stricter separation from the world. You know, you can't be too lefty liberal without being cannon fodder that's used by the globalists to artificially collapse society and then say, yeah, I'm godly. And you can't be so righty-tighty that you become kind of like a fascist in your own home, and you're trying to make your religion into some kind of a cult figure thing. Obviously, that ain't going to work either. There has to be some middle road that every single, you know, sensible faith, you know, it's like a spiritual lane that taps you into something far greater than we can ever really grasp. And we use terms like God, it's just our way of grasping something that overflows the consciousness that we have of it, you know. So we all have our own way. I think some ways are compatible with that, and some ways are not compatible. And so I think there's a lot of other people that have different ways of getting to the same place as I do that I believe are compatible with, you know, whatever it is that I feel I'm tapping into. Yeah, if you, I guess pushing too hard, it's sort of like the old saying, you can't drink poison and expect your enemy to get sick from it. You know what I mean? You end up getting yourself sick over fighting the chaos, walking around with your dukes up all the time. It's exhausting. And, that's one of the reasons that the world is here. The world is tough because virtue is possible. So, in the midst of chaos, your character is really revealed. And I think that's why the world looks so shitty and crazy. And whatever the spirit source of energy is that created the place allows it to happen until eventually there will be, I believe, a final conflict between evil and good. And ultimately, evil will be vanquished, and good will prevail. Yes, Lucy Lemons, that's right, yes. Yep, all right. That's how I first found your channel, actually. Yep, exactly. There's definitely some unseemly sounding stuff in the scripture, but even that stuff that sounds ugly, if I'm playing with it in order to create a tapestry as to how to understand what it's conveying, then I know that it's jacking me into something, you know? Even if I want to talk about biblical slavery, just patching in the just putting together the patch quilt of how it works, what it's really all about, even if it's ugly, just doing the patch quilt, creating it, it's tuning me into something that's far greater than just what's written on the page. So I might even be, talk about something that would be ugly about the Bible, and still, because I'm putting this patch quilt together, it's tuning me into something. And I also have realistic understanding of what things were like in the Bronze Age, but there was a time where they didn't have any services, and people used masters as a means of support, as a sort of a household that would offer protection. And I think that's how things would have been seen, rather than how people interpret it today. By today's standards, I think it would be different, how they would look at it. There's trigger words, you know what I'm saying, and they might not be exactly how we picture them in certain times in past, in certain different areas and cultures and stuff. So there's a broader picture, or something you could dig deep. I don't know, I'm going to get off that topic, but yeah, I think at one point there might be some sort of a oneness that I tap into where I don't need a spiritual lane anymore. That might be an interesting thing to consider. Like, the great cosmic joke is you don't need a spiritual lane, or you never needed a spiritual path to begin with. You just need the training wheels because you're human, and we're in a world of duality, and dualism makes us play with things, this and that, and when we're just kind of thrown into this, on this rock, well, okay, whether it's flat, a flat rock, sure, and let's say we're thrown on this thing, and it's dualistic. The world is, it has an us and them. There's things, but behind the dual, I think this is just all a sort of costume that oneness is actually wearing in order to reveal our character somehow. And if we go far enough on the spiritual lane, on the spiritual path, we'll get to a place of oneness, and we'll go, we don't even need a spiritual path. I mean, that's kind of an interesting thought, and I'm playing around with that idea. Yeah. I think there's some secrets in that stuff too, like you were talking about Feller, and how there's secrets of trees that used to be huge, and the big old grapes that you talk about. We used to live in trees and the fruits were huge. Little secrets. It's kind of been disguised, of course. And it's kind of been written, played around with, and to throw us back into dualism, you know. So there's just as much bad, I guess, in it as there is good. But I think that there is definitely some secrets, some interesting stuff to play around with. Oh, check this out. This is kind of neat. Look at this. Ah, look at this. It's dry in here. No beehives. Yeah. Huh, that's pretty cool. It's got a door on it. Stuck. Huh. Huh. Yeah, this is a really good location, this area, except for the winter. Oh, shoot. I tell you, it sure takes a lot of battery power to do this. This recording. Man, I started out with 91%, and it's only been an hour. Let me see. I brought my battery. Yeah. Okay, I got a battery charger thing here. All right. Yeah, I want to get to the place where there's just like the great cosmic joke is you never needed a path to begin with. And you find out that everything is just oneness wearing a costume. Think about that. Oneness is just wearing this costume of dualism. And until we figure it out, you know, we're stuck. I bet you like that one, eh, Jim? We got to figure that one out. Stop believing the dualism. I mean, it's real as far as the lessons it has to teach, but, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really real. Oh, look at a rabbit. Hey, rabbit. Fellers, yeah. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. I got a Strong's Concordance. Yeah, I'm just getting into all that, really. It just took a long time to play around with duality. You know, we're sick. That's why we're here, don't you think? This is like a hospital for sick souls. And I think there's always an opportunity to get the hell out, to find the key to our freedom here. And I think this is the place where we got to go to find it. We've got to find peace in the chaos. And we got to realize that this place is difficult to deal with because virtue and freedom is possible. And at one point, we've got to throw away, not in any kind of like, not in a way of hostility, but in a way of peaceable resolution from within. Like, I don't want to throw away dualism with a hostile kind of attitude. I don't want to cast it away from me and say, oh, I'm done with that, you know, and make an enemy out of it. I want to peaceably resolve the problem of duality within myself, and then exist as long as Spirit Source energy wants me to exist here in a world of duality, trusting that however long I have to stay, it's ordained for me to do so, because ultimately it's good for, I don't know, the process of me finding full fully realized potential of enlightenment, I guess. Maybe something like that. And it's found just beneath the surface of this costume that we see in this world of duality. And the key is somewhere inside of ourselves. I think part of finding that key is allowing ourselves to say, we really aren't a big deal. We really aren't a factor in this thing. Whatever created us doesn't need us. We're really nothing in comparison but a lowly servant of whatever it is. So we go through this, and that there is part of the key, is to not turn yourself into a god and exalt yourself above all of the world in a way inside of yourself, but to kind of peaceably resolve yourself into saying, I really ain't anything. I'm not a factor in this thing. And that, I know that that's the path that I at least want to take. And I found more success in going that direction than trying to, I guess, paddle upstream and walking through life with my dukes up, because I know I'm right about something. I got a hunch that I'm right. And I got a hunch that the evil that oppresses me or something, I have to somehow fight through it. I think a peaceable resolution within is the way to go. And I think, you find the best way to avoid the conflicts through peaceable resolution within. Letting go, of the struggle, I guess. And having a sense of gratitude and a sense of trust. Thank you, Jim. That's high praise coming from Jim. I love you, friend. I tell you, I'd love to meet you. Yeah, that's the one line that we could accept from Christianity, right? From the Christian Bible. In the world, but not of it. I know that's a line from the New Testament. Not everything the New Testament says is wrong. It's just the core doctrine of it. You know what I mean? The anointed mindedness, that's cool. In the world, not of it, that's really cool. Trust, look at the lilies of the field. Even Solomon in all his glory was not dressed like one of these. How much more important are you than something that's here today and hacked down and put into the oven tomorrow? You see, how much more will your Father in heaven notice you if there isn't a bird that falls from a tree and dies without him noticing you? You know what I'm saying? Those kind of lines we all should be able to agree on, right? But it's the core doctrine, that's where the trouble is, to where there's only one name under heaven where all men must be saved, and that's the name is Jesus. And if you don't accept it, this and that, and he's God in the flesh, and it's, fulfillment of prophet. That is the trick of duality. That kind of, once you go into there, then you're walking through life with your dukes up again. And that's the problem. You know what I mean? To where there has to be some kind of a ritual blood ceremonial sacrifice to die in your place, or God just can't stand to look at his own creation. Even though the creation has got a crushed and contrite heart and turns away from his sins, it's not good enough. I mean, what the heck? Believe me, I'm no Christian. I feel sorry for Christians. They're missing. I mean, you're better off walking through life. I don't know. I like the Noahide path. I like this, this sort of abstract idea of God as oneness and all this other stuff. And I can connect to God through what the Christians would call like the Old Testament or something like that. But I'm getting to the point where I'm expanding beyond it. You know what I mean? And I needed it, because if I didn't have some kind of cultural frame of reference, then I would have been completely lost. I had to have some structure. I had to have training wheels and everything, in order to, because I'm in a world of duality and I got to find my way out of it. So that was the spiritual path that called to me. I don't like the lefty liberal stuff that goes too far. I mean, I can't respect the alphabet soup kind of communities that go way, way, way too far, and just say that sexuality is just fluidity, and that's too much for me, because you're actually I trust that whatever put us here in the bodies that we need to learn how to overcome in a world of duality. That's part of the duality we got to come to terms with and peaceably resolve. I believe in dressing appropriate and acting appropriate and that kind of stuff, you know. So I believe in, I don't have a problem with people that are consenting adults that have a sensible and reasonable relationship with one another. If it's a little bit, you know, if it's, you know, same-sex attraction or something like that. Just like going into these really off the wall kind of ideologies, to me, I think is incompatible with the very purpose of life, which is to find a sensible resolution and a peaceable resolution here in the chaos. I guess through overcoming whatever, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep in it, but I don't like the far left, and I don't like I can't stand like Christian nationalism, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Now we are kind of coming back to where I started, which I think you weren't here when I started. This is a cool place we're coming up on, and I think you might like it. It's an old abandoned switch house, and I stayed here before. Got me out of some cold winter weather and some wet nights. Real stealth camping territory. Yep. All right, here we are. See, we're coming up on it now. See it? I think you'll like this, Jim. Ta-da. Up that way is DuBois, and that way is Sykesville, Punxsutawney, and Point South. You can probably take this all the way down to Pittsburgh. This line goes up to Buffalo. I'm surprised they still have this thing still standing. And the front part of the roof is leaks, but the back part, as you can see, it's still got good wood up there. Here we are. Hey, I bet you recognize that symbol, don't you? Isn't that the Om? Om. Oh, wow. It's 82 minutes. I thought it said 2 hours. Anyway. And up on the second floor is where I would sleep, not here. Because people come by with four-wheelers and stuff like that. And if I was in here just camping, and plus the upstairs has got like a wood floor, so it's a lot warmer. And it's a little hard to get to. So, as you can see, you got to kind of go up there like that. See the little pegs you got to get on? It's nice around here though, isn't it? that's about the end of the tour. Yeah, that's the place in the short video. That's about the end of the tour, I guess. That was fun. I got a couple of jugs of water. Finally, we got a nice day. It's been kind of cold. The winter, I mean, it ended a while back, but just the chill and the dampness and the cloudy, windy weather, it's just been hanging on, and we're finally getting a nice day, so I'm fine. I've been leaning on a little alcohol, just, not like heavy drinking, but, I hate that stuff. I really do. Alcohol is like a poison. You know that. It lowers your, I don't know, the vibrational frequency of your energy or something like that. But sometimes you just get so desperate to, yeah, I stayed here in this thing. It was back in 2022. Yeah, I was in there over a month, I think. Yep, in the upper level. Well, shoot, it was fun hanging out with you, Jim. Can you believe there was a mouse actually up there in the upper level? it, you know, Gotta be hopping around at night. I'd catch it. You know what I'm saying? Like getting kind of close to my stuff, and then I'd slip on. Oh, really? Yeah. Hopefully not the heavy stuff. I don't do anything heavy, but I probably would love to have a hit a pot a little bit every now and then. Yeah, I know what I've discovered when we have these little slips that are we seem to fall into behaviors that are unseemly for our spiritual enlightened level. What I think, there's two ways you could look at it. There's people that fall into those old habits that should have been long ago laid to rest, and then there's some that purge into those old habits that we know should be laid to rest. And there is a difference between falling and purging. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Yeah, a little pot is okay. It can be enlightening, as long as it's not too much. If it's habitual, then it has it actually deteriorates, the energy of your reality. I think if it's all the time and all the time, it becomes a psychological addiction to where you can't, function too well without it. If it's a once in a while retreat, then pot is really like medicinal and very spiritual, but it has to be kept at a once in a while retreat. Yeah, well, sometimes we fall into habits, and it's not really falling, it's purging. It means that there's something that, like a spirit, the energy of our past realities they leave behind sometimes a spiritual residue. And sometimes on our spiritual path, we have to go deep, purge into an old habit in order to purge up and out the old spiritual residue that an energy of an old reality that we have, mostly dissolved, still leaves behind a little bit of spiritual residue. And I think that could be what you and, may have gone through and so forth, and what I've gone through with certain things. There will be a time, I think true enlightenment, is possible, but we'll never have oneness here in a world of duality. But what we can have is sort of time spent on a real high plateau of enlightenment. We could rest on those spiritual summits for months at a stretch, but life, it prods us on, and we go through those seasonal transitions between plateaus of enlightenment. And it's those seasonal transitions that we, as you put it, slip, which I would say you're probably purging in order to retrieve a little bit of spiritual residue that was left behind a long time ago that really wasn't fully cleaned or purged. and then you go and you retrieve it, and then whatever the spirit source energy that people would call God is testing you and seeing your reaction. You leave it and then you go, oh, okay, I'm going through a dark night of the soul. This is just a process. I must have left some spiritual residue behind. Now I'm purging it up and out. And now I can go into my future, into the next plateau of enlightenment, more humble because, hey, I'm not perfect. I slip myself. The first thing to notice is that you care. That's the first thing I take notice of. Yeah. It's spiritual transition from one plateau of enlightenment to another, you know? And I think we become more and more adept as we increase our, as we raise our consciousness to higher and higher plateaus of enlightenment and higher vibrational frequency and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's what it was. It was just a little leftover spiritual residue that wasn't fully resolved. And you needed to take a deep dive. And at the same time, it was kind of a test. I mean, are you going to get back up, or is you going to let this thing derail you and you're going to go off and, lose what you've gained, you know? Or are you going to come out of this more humble person, you know? Yeah. I think it has a lot more to do with what we're talking about here with this, thing than really just falling. It's not like you just fell and lost everything. I think you retrieved something and something had to be purged. It was some spiritual residue left behind, but now that it happened, it shouldn't happen maybe again. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it won't. Because you went through this test. Think about the bench press. It's like every time you go, if you want to increase, if you want to go to the next plateau of strength, then you got to put on more plates. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when those plates are put on, then we need that spotter. And if it wasn't there, we kind of fall into or purge into one of these old behaviors. At the same time, the universe uses that as the opportunity to take a deep dive and retrieve something that was left behind spiritually. And yeah, and I think that's what you were going through. Yeah, I believe that, Jim. Yeah, I believe that. It's a process. Life, like art, it's a process. So, purging is a process, raising consciousness to higher plateaus of enlightenment, learning patience, learning to find peace within in a world that does uh, conflict with our values. A lot of that is so important. You can't walk through life with your dukes up all the time. We have to find an inner peace even in this world of duality that conflicts with your values and my values and so forth. Huh. That's so cool. Isn't that strange? We're having a really great conversation here, and we got two views. Two people are with us. And and you get somebody else, they're just washing dishes and talking about whatever, and they'll have 1,000 views. You know what I mean? It's weird. Living souls, man. We're living souls. We don't get very many views. It's lonely up here, on the spiritual summits. That's why sometimes you fall. You get lonely. Uh, well, Jim, I think I'm going to have to let you go because my phone, even though I got it plugged into my battery charger, my battery pack that I brought with me, it keeps telling me that it's, yeah. Yeah, you got to find inner peace within yourself, even in a world that conflicts with your values. You're just going to have to. And we are lonely at the spiritual summits, where we resonate with, what people call God or spirit source energy. I mean, we're not using it. We're not having a weekend retreat. We're real living souls, and we sometimes resonate with those spiritual summits. And we try to live up there, and we spend a lot of time. And my gosh, it can be so lonely. It can be very painful. I think there's a proverb that says like, with an increase in wisdom is an increase in pain. Actually, I think that's in that book of Ecclesiastes. Hey Jim, a little later in the next day or two or whatever, when you get the time, check out the Amish neighborhood drive that my friend and I visited a Amish store, and there's two videos. One is just a quick drive, and then the next one is inside the store. You might like those two. And it's really close. It's only like 5 miles from where I'm at here. But yeah, I think I'm gonna let you go, Jim, okay? Because yeah, definitely. But yeah, it is. You know, when you're on those spiritual summits like where we're at, it could be very lonely, and sometimes it makes us fall or purge back into old behaviors that we know should have long ago been laid to rest. And then we feel bad about it. But feeling bad isn't the answer. Learning to be more humble, I think that's the answer. And to find more gratitude in just daily life. And it's okay to be lonely, on the spiritual summits. Yep, the real test is to find peace within, a peaceable resolution, peaceably resolve your issues and stuff in a world that conflicts with our um, yeah, what I was saying earlier. Oh yeah, and don't forget that Nick Ashron, "We Are the Ones." I hope you find that video. Yeah, I think you'd like that one. Well, I'm going to leave you on this note because my phone wants to shut off, okay, friend? All right. Yep, I'm out here getting ready to, in June, that's the plan, leaving in June. So I've got a little time to kind of warm up to it, to going back out here. And I'm going to invest my resources into more time in my storage unit. That's the plan. Cool. Yeah, "We Are the Ones." That's the song that I think you're going to like. Especially the one that's live in concert. I think it was done about 2 years ago. I think it's about 2 years old. Hey, Jim, I'm going to let you go now so I can shut my phone down and let it recharge, okay? Because it keeps bugging me about wanting to recharge. I tell you, this recording, it really drains the battery big time. All right, love you, friend. Keep in touch. I'll be looking forward to seeing you in a video soon. All right, bye-bye, buddy. It was fun.